Hey guys, Doc from the Gold Hog, and it's a little bit windy out today, excuse the wind noise, but today we're going to talk about black mud. What do I mean by black mud? This is black mud, this is what I'm talking about. And when I say black mud, this is concentrates that have been screened down to 50 mesh. And I'm literally left with this just black, I call it black mud or black pudding. It's just nasty stuff, absolutely nasty stuff. And so when you're dealing with concentrates, you go down to 50 mesh. What do you got? You got sub 50 mesh, 100 mesh, 200 mesh gold in there, and you got about 3 or 4 or 5 cups of this nasty stuff left over, and you cannot, it just takes hours and hours to deal with this. You end up sitting over a bowl system, a water table system, or something for hours and hours, dripping little tablespoons. It's crazy. So if I'm going to teach you guys, if you have a multi sluice, if you don't buy one, if you have a multi sluice, I'm going to teach you a little trick I've been working on for about 3 days now. I've been doing some testing and tuning. Normally when we run the multi sluice, you can do it a couple ways. The multi sluice comes with a normal 1100 GPH pump, or you buy one with it. You plug that directly in. You run the aggressive mat number 1. Then you stick in this reducer plug, and the reducer plug takes the 1100 GPH down to probably about a 900 or 800 GPH pump. It automatically reduces it. But what I've done is I've gone and bought some of these little spigot plugs at Lowe's, 25 cents. We'll probably start including these. But if you have a multi-sluice, go out and buy a couple of these. I drilled several holes, but I found the 1/4 inch works well. And I'm just going to stick it in the end, put my hose over this whole thing now, and reduce my water flow down greatly. I'm guessing it's about 500 GPH over this whole system. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in here, put my hose on it, and now I'm going to run the system. Now what this is going to do, I'm doing a new video coming up soon on proportional force, and part of that video is about how water depth in our sluice affects what happens on the bottom. And here's what I want you to picture. I want you to picture a creek that has a bunch of cobbles on the bottom, and the water going over that bottom is only about 5 inches deep. You can just see that water just traveling over those cobbles, There's lots of what I call surface friction as it's following it going down, okay? Now there's a storm. The creek comes up, and the creek is 3 feet deep versus 6 inches. What happens to the bottom? Well, as that river is flowing, even though it looks like it's really aggressive, the bottom gets very quiet. The bottom gets very quiet. The bottom is smooth and quiet. That's what we're doing with this system now. What we're doing is we're reducing the water depth, and we're taking the surface of the water, bringing it down closer to the bottom. And what's having to happen is the water is having to follow all these grooves in the washer mat. That's what I'm running today. I'm running the washer mat. And because I'm doing that, what's happening is if you have a multi-sluice, the largest groove normally fills up a little bit with black sand. You're not going to see that today. This is really cool. The washer mat is not designed to be a high percentage capture rate mat. I'm not going to go there. That's not what this is about. The washer mat is designed so that nothing on earth can stay in there. You understand that? Let me say it again. The washer mat is designed specifically so that nothing on earth can stay within that mat. Nothing will stay in it. Well, when you tone it down just a bit, what's going to happen? What's going to stay in the mat? The heaviest stuff, gold. It's kind of the principle. There's no place for the stuff to hide in this. The entire bottom surface is constantly exposed to movement with just a little bit of flow variance. And because of that, you get very clean concentrates when you run them through here, and it's very fast. So I'm going to take, I've got approximately 1 quart of concentrates in here. It weighs about 8 pounds. Almost solid black sand. Some beach sands mixed in here as well. And what I've done is I've screened gold through a 100 mesh screen. It's probably about 2.5 grams of gold. Which, if you don't know, if you've never been to any of my classes or seen me talk about it, for every gram of gold, sub 100 mesh, you'll have 20,000 pieces approximately. Again, 20,000 pieces of gold for every gram sub 100 mesh. So I should have close to 50,000 pieces of gold in here. When I run this through, I'm assuming the tests that I've done so far based on this setting, I'm running anywhere, if I run slow, I'm probably at close to a 94 to 98% capture rate. I'm not concerned about my capture rate. The key to this is reduction, reduction, reduction. Reduction, reduction, reduction. I want to go from a quart down to a teaspoon, a little teaspoon, in about 20 minutes. Now that's an amazing statement. A quart of black muck down to a teaspoon, almost pure gold, in about 20 minutes. That's really hard to grasp. So I'll shut up, I'll go ahead and I'll run this stuff, I'll take some video of it, let you see it, and here are the settings so you know it. My sluice is exactly at 10.5 degrees. I'm running it with a 1/4 inch spigot plug in there. So if you will not have, you're gonna have to buy one of those. Again, 10.5 degrees, a washer mat with a 1/4 inch hole through that spigot plug. That's the settings. Try that. You can try other settings, but remember, it's not about capture rate, it's about reduction. Getting it as clean as possible with a decent capture rate, somewhere above that 90–95%. So I'll go ahead and run it. Hey guys, so one thing I did want to point out, when you're running this setup, one thing you have to do, because our water volume is so low and this is very, very shallow, is you really need to level off your sluice using water in the sluice. It's really hard. You want to push your mat down and make sure your mat is completely seated. Start your water, shut it off, level off the sluice with some water, and then run. Once you get it running, the other thing you want to do is watch it traveling down. Do you see a side that's lower than the other? Don't rely on just a level. Visually watch the water flow and see if one side has less water going down, the other is making an adjustment. And so that's what I do every time I run this. And I look pretty good. It looks pretty good. It looks even all the way down. I don't have one side that has low water or high flow. Real important to get this low, because we're only running just a little bit of water on this, and I'm going to show you. Now, if you've ever seen your Multi Sluice run or seen a Multi Sluice run, you'll know that that's just a trickle of water going over there. And what's happening is the water's following that mat all the way across. Instead of being smooth, it's actually following that mat. Do you have any bubbles in there? I'm just going to use my hand just to knock some bubbles out. And then I'll show you how I'm going to feed this. Normally we just dump into this. We take a big scoop and we just dump in, dump in, dump in. But under this new setup, I'm just going to go back and forth. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow that mat to exchange out. I'm going to allow it to work down. You're going to be shocked to see just how few cons we end up with. Now one thing you will notice, one thing I do, after I shut down, I'm going to let this run for 60 seconds. I'm just going to let it run for 60 seconds. And I'm going to let the final processing actually close down and close down. Just let it work out and work out and work out. Clean that mat out. See where my bucket is? My bucket is below. I'm using a small bucket. It's below here. So when I bring it up, if it drips right back into the bucket. Back and forth. The other thing you want to do is make sure that your box is fairly level, so your water's going in there fairly evenly. This is the slowest that you'll ever see me feed a Multi Sluice. Now what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to make you sit here and watch this all. I'm going to go ahead and run the rest of this through and show you what the mat looks like. Now I'm not gonna record this whole thing, and I may not even run all the concentrates through here, just for a matter of time, because I've done this over and over and over. But you can see as these concentrates work down, let me get a little closer here. As these concentrates work down, what you'll see is that you start to see these yellow lines of gold appear in here. Again, I'm going to retune my box a little bit. It looked like there was more water going to this side than to this side. You'll see those lines disappear and then you'll see them reappear as it works down. That's why on this particular run, we don't want to feed too heavy. And you can see those lines sort of disappear. Now let's just sit here for a second and let's watch them reappear as it clears up. And I'm just going to let it run. I'm just going to let it sit here and run for a while. I'll shut it down and we'll take a look at it. But I'm going to just let it work out all those non-gold particles. It's not going to get them all out, but you'll see what I mean. You can see how smooth that water is in here. Or how shallow, I should say. Not necessarily smooth, but shallow. All right, now I'm going to shut it off, and I'm going to take that header box off. So now what I'm going to do, I want you to see the reveal here. It's awfully windy outside. Gotta go over the camera. I want you to see the lines of gold in here. Now that is all sub 100 mesh gold. And there was almost zero black sand in there. And you can see as we go down, there's less and less. All right, I'm gonna do this live, real time with you. Here's what I do. I'm gonna concrete up my mat. So I'm gonna tilt my sluice, let the water go over to the side, and then I'm gonna lift it up and drain it into here. So watch what I do here. I'm gonna tilt it nice and slow. Just bring it over, let that water run down. I'm gonna get all the water out of it. I'm gonna tilt it up, down that corner, get all my water out. Am I gonna lose a piece or two of gold? You know what, I may lose one or two pieces, but I don't care. Because what I want is I wanna keep that gold from sloshing back and forth when I take my mat out. Now I've concreted it. That gold is locked in here solid. And now, what I can do is I can show you better what I'm talking about. Now there is gold, going to be gold so fine in here it's invisible to the human eye. I already went through here and took a microscope and a jeweler's loupe and went into here, and I'm seeing 200 to 300 mesh gold all sitting inside here, along with that 100 mesh, sub 100 mesh gold. But you can see what happens here. Let me zoom in, see how tight we can get. But see, this looks, that's the big well. See how different it looks when you run it like this? Again, 10.5 degrees with that thing in there. See, normally we would have a bunch of black sand down here. This is the end of the mat here. We would normally have a bunch of black sand. And all I've got is just a few pieces of gold and a little bit of black sand down there. I'm trying to get her zoomed in. I don't know where the focus point is. I'm trying to get it zoomed in so you can see the gold here. Now there's gold in here, like I said, there's gold in here well below the 200 mesh mark, which is kind of stupid to kind of point out, but because you can't see it. All right, so here's a real important point, and you're gonna hear a bird in the background. I'm about to go shoot him. This whole process is not about capturing 100%. We wanna have a good capture rate. This process is about reduction, and reduction of challenging materials. Taking a quart, a gallon of this muck, of these heavy black sands, reducing it down quickly and efficiently to where the point I have maybe just a tablespoon. You can see that's my total cons. I have probably one and a half, close to 1.5 grams, maybe almost 2 grams of gold in here. Tens of thousands of pieces, probably 30,000 pieces of gold sitting right there. I went ahead and panned out the tailings, which is not easy, and you can see my losses. There are my losses up at the very, very top of that line there. See if I can, I don't know if I can zoom in any closer or not. Let's see here. But there are my losses right there. That's getting close to 200 to 300 mesh gold in there. And, you know, let's say that there's 50 pieces in there. 50 or 100 pieces, whatever. If I'm talking a difference of 30,000 pieces, 40,000 pieces of gold in here. This is the whole principle of running this new system. This is a good wintertime system. This is a great, if you have a little bit of time and want to slow up a little bit, normally we want to go, go, go and be fast, but this is very efficient, very fast, very cool way to do this. So if you're an experienced prospector or miner, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're talking about these 2, 3, 4 cups of just mud when you're working super fines. That black mud. Use this setup with the Multi Sluice. It's phenomenal. I've been working on this for 3 or 4 days. I've probably done close to 20 different tests with different GPHs, different pitches, and it's still evolving. But as of right now, put in the washer mat, put in that plug with a 1/4 inch hole, run it at 10.5 degrees. Just run it real slow through it, real slow. After you're done run it, let it run for about 60 seconds, shut it off. 1 tablespoon, you'll have over 90% of your gold. The runs I've been doing, I'm closer to 96 to 98% of my gold on that first run. Pretty cool. Hours and hours of work saved. Doc the Gold Hog.